Nicole Kidman has filed for divorce from Keith Urban after 19 years of marriage. The court papers show the actress will remain the primary caregiver of the couple's teenage daughters.
When news broke that Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were ending their 19-year marriage, it sent shockwaves around the world. They had been the couple everyone believed would last forever. But now, at 58, Nicole has finally admitted why it all fell apart. And her words reveal a truth far more painful than the headlines. How their love story began. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's story began like a scene out of a Hollywood romance, yet it carried the sincerity of two people finding each other at the right moment. In January 2005, both Australians were honored guests at the Today USA Gala in Los Angeles. Nicole, already one of the most recognized actresses in the world, and Keith, a rising country music star, were introduced at the event. For many fans looking back, it feels like fate placed them in the same room that night. Nicole later admitted that she felt an instant connection. There was an attraction that stirred quickly for her, but Keith seemed more reserved. In fact, after that first meeting, months went by before he reached out. Nicole once revealed that she thought he might not be interested, while she herself had already developed a quiet crush. This waiting period made their eventual connection feel like a slow burn, a romance that needed time before it could ignite. When Keith finally did make a move, he made sure it was unforgettable. Nicole has often recalled the moment that sealed her feelings for him. On her birthday, while she was in New York City, Keith surprised her by showing up at her apartment door at 5 in the morning. He stood there holding gardenias, a flower symbolic of purity and love. For Nicole, that moment swept away any hesitation. In her words, she was a goner. It was then that she knew that what they had was more than just a passing attraction. Their relationship grew quickly from there. By May 2006, Keith proposed, and Nicole said yes. A month later, on June 25th, they stood before family and friends in a candlelit church in Sydney, Australia. The wedding was deeply personal, blending her Hollywood circle with their Australian roots. Nicole's children from her previous marriage to Tom Cruise were present, making the day a true family affair. Photos from the ceremony showed the couple glowing, and many believed they had found a once-in-a-lifetime love. Yet, even in those early days of joy, challenges surfaced. Only a few months after the wedding, Keith entered rehab to deal with his long struggle with substance abuse. It was a turning point that could have broken them apart. Instead, Nicole stood firmly by his side, choosing loyalty and support over walking away. That decision gave strength to their bond and showed the depth of her commitment. They had faced addiction and the heavy gaze of public expectation so early on. But what seemed like triumphs of love were also warnings of battles yet to come. Building family, career, and shared dreams, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's love story was more than just a Hollywood romance. It was a partnership that carried both the glow of red carpet moments and the weight of private struggles. When they married, Nicole was already a mother to Isabella and Connor, the children she had adopted with Tom Cruise. Starting a new chapter with Keith gave her the chance to expand her family and rediscover the feeling of home she had longed for. In 2008, they welcomed their first daughter together, Sunday Rose, and 2 years later their second daughter, Faith Margaret, was born. With 4 children between them, the Kidman-Urban household became a blended family full of energy, love, and responsibility. Nicole often spoke of motherhood as her anchor, calling it the role that grounded her despite her international fame. She embraced becoming a mother again later in life, cherishing the joy and maturity it brought. Keith echoed these feelings through his music, writing songs that carried subtle tributes to Nicole and their daughters reminding fans that behind his fame, he was also a devoted husband and father. But alongside their family life, both careers continued to climb. Nicole, already one of Hollywood's most respected actresses, entered a new era in her profession. She took on complex roles that showcased her range, from Rabbit Hole, which earned her another Academy Award nomination, to Big Little Lies, which brought her Golden Globe and Emmy wins. With each role, she deepened her reputation not only as a movie star but also as a powerhouse in television, proving her ability to adapt to changing entertainment landscapes. Keith, meanwhile, was cementing his place as one of country music's biggest names. His albums topped charts, his tours sold out stadiums, and his performances earned him Grammys and Country Music Association awards. Beyond music, he expanded into television as a judge on American Idol, introducing his charm to an even broader audience. His songs often reflected personal experiences, with lyrics and dedications that kept Nicole at the center of his artistry. Their successes, while thrilling, brought with them the challenge of distance. Nicole's film shoots often took her abroad for months at a time: London, Australia, and various U.S. locations, while Keith's tours kept him constantly on the road. They worked to bridge the gap through video calls, letters, and flying across the world for short reunions. They both spoke about making family time sacred, and whenever possible, they made sure their daughters traveled with them or carved out stretches of uninterrupted time together at home. Still, the separation was a shadow that never disappeared. In public, the couple radiated love and loyalty. They were often seen hand in hand on red carpets, whispering to one another during award ceremonies, or exchanging warm glances that the cameras eagerly captured. Nicole often praised Keith in interviews, calling him her deep, deep love, and crediting their marriage as the best thing that ever happened to her. Keith reciprocated with heartfelt tributes and songs that reflected his gratitude for her presence in his life. To fans and the media, they seemed to embody a rare kind of enduring Hollywood romance. Yet, underneath the glamour, challenges persisted. Keith's struggle with substance abuse had been a battle even before their wedding, and only months after they married, he checked into rehab. Nicole's decision to stand by him, offering unwavering support, became a defining chapter in their relationship. Keith later admitted he nearly blew the marriage during this time, acknowledging how close they came to losing everything. Their resilience during that period became part of their legacy as a couple, proving that love and loyalty could survive even the harshest storms. They created a beautiful family and achieved extraordinary success, but the quiet cracks in their foundation began to widen. What looked perfect to the world was, in reality, far more fragile. Eventually, those cracks became impossible to ignore. The distance between them grew, not just in miles, but in emotions, and the life they had built together started to shift in ways neither could completely control. When love doesn't solve everything. For years, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban managed to weave their demanding careers into the fabric of their marriage. They often spoke about making time for one another despite the challenges of Hollywood schedules and international tours. But over time, the cracks began to show. Nicole continued to take on major acting projects that required her to be away for long stretches, including filming overseas in places like London for Practical Magic 2. Meanwhile, Keith was committed to his High and Alive world tour, traveling from city to city and country to country. The separations grew longer and more frequent, until the time they spent apart seemed to outweigh the time they spent together. Hints of their troubles spilled into the public eye in subtle but noticeable ways. Fans caught on when Keith abruptly ended a radio interview after being asked about Nicole, hanging up before the conversation could continue. On social media, anniversary posts that once overflowed with affectionate tributes became shorter, more distant, or missing altogether. In interviews, questions about their relationship seemed to make Keith uncomfortable, as if he wanted to avoid peeling back the layers of a story that was unraveling behind the scenes. For a couple that had once been so open in displaying their affection and love, the silence spoke volumes. The physical separation and the absence of warmth in public moments only deepened the sense that something had shifted between them. Nicole, who had always believed in standing by her husband no matter what, was left grappling with a feeling of abandonment. The marriage that once seemed strong enough to withstand addiction, distance, and fame was faltering in ways that could no longer be hidden. The love was still there, but love alone was no longer enough to keep them together. Let's now tell you about the moment when she realized things had shifted beyond repair. The breaking point. By early summer 2025, Keith Urban had reportedly moved into his own place, leaving Nicole Kidman in the family home with their daughters. To the outside world, it may have looked like just another phase of busy schedules and career obligations, but insiders knew it was something much deeper, a deliberate step away. Nicole, still holding on to the hope of repairing the cracks, tried to salvage what they had. She leaned into family, reached for the connection they once shared, and believed their bond could withstand yet another storm. But those efforts were met with distance. Sources close to her revealed that she was blindsided by how quickly Keith began to establish his new reality, one that didn't revolve around their marriage. For Nicole, it wasn't only about living separately, it was about what the choice symbolized. It was the beginning of the end, and she knew it. The final blow came in late September 2025. On September 30th, Nicole filed for divorce after 19 years of marriage, citing irreconcilable differences. The move shocked fans who had always seen them as one of Hollywood's most resilient couples, a pair who had survived addiction battles, the pressures of fame, and years of distance. Yet, behind the polished public image, the marriage had become something neither of them could hold on to any longer. Divorce papers were signed, but there were still many things to settle. The legal landscape and custody arrangements. The legal chapter of Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's separation began to take shape in late September 2025. On the surface, the documents presented a familiar phrase: irreconcilable differences. It is the standard wording for countless celebrity divorces, chosen as much for privacy as for simplicity. But for those who had followed their journey, the candlelit wedding in Sydney, the shared battles, the family built together, it was clear that the phrase concealed far deeper wounds. Central to the divorce filing were the couple's two daughters, Sunday, now 17, and Faith, 14. According to reports, Kidman is expected to be the primary residential parent, a role she has held during much of their marriage while balancing film shoots and motherhood. The custody agreement outlines that the children will spend approximately 306 days of the year with her, while Urban will have around 59 days. This distribution reflects not only the practical demands of their careers, but also the reality of where the children's stability has always been rooted, with Nicole. Still, such numbers, once reduced to paper, highlight the stark division of a family that once thrived under one roof. Alongside custody, the division of assets and financial matters has become another layer of the process. Both Kidman and Urban have enjoyed extraordinary careers, and with that comes multiple properties scattered across the globe, from Nashville to Sydney, from Beverly Hills to New York. These homes once represented shared dreams, but in the legal negotiations, they have become assets to divide. Reports suggest that the couple has agreed to forego spousal support, signaling that both are financially independent and willing to walk away without the complications of alimony. The finer details of property division remain ongoing, but the framework is clear. Their lives, once intertwined at every level, are now being separated piece by piece. The legal terms lay out what their lives will look like post-marriage, but it's what she revealed about why she needed to take these steps that changes everything. What Nicole Kidman has admitted. Nicole Kidman's admissions in the wake of her divorce from Keith Urban have peeled back the polished exterior of their seemingly perfect marriage, revealing the vulnerability and raw honesty of a woman who has endured both love's heights and heartbreak's depths. For years, the public saw a picture of harmony, two globally admired Australians raising a family while balancing glittering careers. But behind closed doors, Nicole now admits, the cracks had been widening long before the final separation. One of the most striking revelations is her sense of betrayal. This feeling, as she has shared through close confidants, does not stem solely from Keith's actions, but from how certain choices were made, perhaps abruptly, perhaps without the openness she expected from a partner of nearly 2 decades. The decision to live apart, for instance, reportedly blindsided her. To Nicole, the betrayal was not just in the separation itself, but in the erosion of the trust and communication that once anchored their bond. She has also spoken of irreconcilable differences with more weight than the legal documents ever suggested. For her, these differences were not abstract. They were about respect, emotional support, and safety, the pillars of a lasting marriage. Love, no matter how deep, could not survive without those foundations. In recognizing this, Nicole is admitting something many hesitate to say out loud, that love alone cannot repair what is fundamentally broken. Timing, too, has played a role in her willingness to speak so directly. At 58, Nicole is no longer the young star navigating Hollywood's pressures or the newlywed protecting a fragile union. She is more seasoned, grounded, and empowered. This maturity allows her to voice truths she may have swallowed earlier, to admit where the marriage fell short, and to prioritize her own well-being and that of her children above appearances. Still, her admissions are not without humility. Nicole has reportedly acknowledged her own role, hinting at the complexities of a marriage lived under the spotlight. Yet what stands out most is her clarity about unmet needs, moments when she felt unheard, or times when her emotional reality was minimized. This self-reflection underscores her belief that marriages thrive not on perfection, but on mutual recognition and respect. From her perspective, the greatest lesson lies in choosing authenticity over facade. Nicole has indicated that, at this stage of her life, she values honesty and autonomy above maintaining the image of a flawless partnership. Her admissions are less about blame and more about truth. Her truth, spoken without fear of judgment. Her courage in saying what many might keep private reframes her narrative. Rather than being defined by divorce, she is defining it on her terms, offering a perspective of growth, learning, and resilience. She's spoken openly now, but what comes next will show whether truth leads to healing, redefinition, or something entirely different. What's next for Nicole and Keith? Nicole Kidman's story does not end with a set of divorce papers. If anything, what comes next may define her more than the 19 years she spent with Keith Urban. In the immediate aftermath of the split, Nicole is said to be leaning on her sister, Antonia, who has long been her anchor during turbulent times. Family remains her focus, especially her daughters, Sunday and Faith. Sources close to her say that her priority now is to provide them with stability, love, and a sense of safety, even as their family structure changes. Professionally, Nicole's future holds just as much intrigue. At 58, With decades of accolades behind her, she may now take a more selective approach to her work. Some insiders suggest she may lean toward projects that feel personal or introspective, stories that reflect resilience, independence, and transformation. Fans and critics alike will likely look for connections between her evolving career choices and the truths she has recently shared. Just as past experiences influenced the authenticity she brought to roles, this chapter may deepen her performances in ways that resonate even more powerfully. On the practical side, co-parenting will shape her daily life. With primary custody of Sunday and Faith, Nicole's schedule will be the anchor point for the family's routine. Keith, though allotted far fewer days under the custody arrangement, will still play a role, and the logistics of two parents with global careers will require careful coordination. Travel, holidays, and milestones will now involve negotiations rather than shared decisions, a reality both must adjust to. As with any high-profile split, public perception hovers over their next moves. While neither Nicole nor Keith has made a full public statement, the possibility of Nicole opening up in a thoughtful interview looms. If she does, her words will likely carry weight, not as gossip, but as part of her legacy. She has long been admired for her elegance and candor. Now, her ability to speak truthfully about heartbreak and resilience could redefine her public image in a way that inspires. Beyond career and custody, the personal side of Nicole's journey is perhaps the most significant. Divorce at any age forces reinvention, but at this stage of life, it may also offer unexpected freedom. Nicole may channel her energy into setting firmer boundaries, deepening personal connections, or exploring new creative and romantic possibilities. Some speculate that reconciliation with Keith remains a distant possibility. Life phases can shift perspectives, but many see this as a firm, definitive close. For Keith, the path forward is quieter, at least for now. His career continues, but questions about how he navigates fatherhood, sobriety, and independence without Nicole will inevitably surface. The contrast between their public responses, her quiet openness versus his silence, will keep people watching. What are your thoughts on Nicole Kidman's shocking admission? Was their split destined, or could love have saved it? Share your thoughts in the comments.